Welcome back to the Brosen. I am joined tonight by our boss bro, Mr. Adam Drake.
Dragonator, what's up?
Our bald bro, Mitch Hudson.
Top of the morning to you.
Oh, hello, Mitch Bert.
Hello there.
My bodacious BG bro, Mr. Benjamin Stockton.
What up, what up, what up?
And of course, I am the Nepo Baby Junior at this point, right? Nepo Baby Junior is what we're doing now.
That's right.
You've moved
down
Nepo
to
Baby
Junior.
Junior. Yeah,
Nepo Baby
level.
Junior,
Yeah.
Jenkins.
Son of a Nepo.
Right. And we are joined tonight by a very special guest. He is as of season 4, our new Philip, and going into season 6, he will remain our Philip. It is Mr. Reza Diako.
Reza, welcome.
Welcome, Reza. Welcome.
Great to have you. New and improved Philip. Great to see you, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
2.0, yeah.
2.0.
2.0.
So, Reza, we usually start these episodes with an icebreaker just to get the ball rolling a little bit. So we're going to ask you a question, and everyone can answer this question. If you had to be trapped on a deserted island with 3 of the disciples, who would you pick and why?
Are we thinking characters or thinking like the actual people? Or
Ooh,
like
that's a good question. That's a solid question.
That's a great
honestly,
question.
I want to hear both. I want to hear who would you take as the disciples? Who would you take as people?
Well, this was Willie's. You should be the one to answer this, but he's not here. So
Yeah.
He's coming. He's coming. Willie may appear at some point. In
Yeah,
this
he will
podcast.
just show
We'll
up.
find
Randomly.
out. Yeah.
From the disciples themselves, I would pick probably like Simon/Peter, just for like safety and like warrior mentality, and I can like, go look for, coconuts while he's out there protecting. I'd look for
So you're the coconuts guy, to be clear. You're the coconuts guy. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'd probably go for like actually that's an interesting question. I can't decide. So if I'm gonna go for practical, I'd go for Nathaniel so he can like build me a little house out of his architectural skills.
Oh,
But,
yeah,
like,
good call.
Smart.
Shout out to his old talents.
Been making a lot of use of those following Jesus.
Exactly. Who else? No, I think I might pick like either Matthew or John. Probably Matthew because I need like someone to like record the whole situation, but also like be the voice of reason in the whole situation. And then just to make things complicated, I would throw Judas in the mix just to like create some type of like chaos, so that it suddenly looks like a Tekken scene. Everyone's fighting with each other for different reasons, and then whoever survives gets to swim away all alone. So
there you go. You need some drama. It's good to add Judas in there for some
adventure.
drama.
You need the light in the dark.
Yeah.
And also, he's got a business. So if we get like people in the island that show up, we can negotiate our
That's a great point.
It's a good point.
Judas immediately has like a sign like trapped on an island. Try our subscription. We can 5 easy payments. We'll get you off that island right away. It is Willie Mellina joining us. We've been haunted. Haunted by the Mellina.
So, anyways, Reza just answered your question, and speaking for the disciples as the disciples, and he picked Judas just to mix things up, which I liked, just to mix things up on the island. And you picked Matthew, right, to record and be the voice of reason.
Yep, Simon/Peter for
and then
stability,
Simon Peter for stability, leadership.
Yeah. And
Nathaniel
fight
to
with
build.
each other as well.
Nathaniel to build.
There's a lot of tension between them as well, so it's
You would be dead in 3 hours with those two. You wouldn't make it to lunch, brother.
Who would you pick?
So funny. Yeah, who would you pick, Willie? Who were you? I know it was your original question. Who would be as disciples, not as people? We're not talking about Shahar, Abe. We're talking,
Right. Because everybody's going with Shahar, right?
Right. His arms would float you back to shore.
Right.
Willie, I protect you, Willie.
I'm going to go Austin. I'm sorry, Nathaniel.
See, yeah.
Nathaniel.
See, one to one so far.
He's going to be, And then I'm going to go with Big James and...
Trying to bring along someone who has a lot of knowledge of the Greek mythology, huh? You think that's going to really help you get off that island?
And all emotional.
Someone who gets love,
I think
cinnamon cakes.
I think he just picked him because he was big. Because his name, he has big in the title. He just wants protection. Willie wants protection.
Big doesn't float, Willie.
You're gonna throw him at the raptor. You're just gonna be like, that's the first kill. Big James.
If they throw
We did
stones,
leave
they'll always
the
hit him,
dinosaurs out of it. That's
Oh,
true.
it was just the island. Just island.
Yeah.
Did you say Dinosaur
Yeah.
Island?
Oh, okay. So that changes things. Yeah, I actually don't mind his choices as much. But if there's dinosaurs like Matthew, yeah. The original question, Reza, was if you had to go. My question was if you had to go to Jurassic Park, an island with actual dinosaurs. What
when dinosaurs come in, that's interesting. Yeah.
Willie,
Yeah, but see, you have to be here for the intro.
I am so sorry. I'm sorry to keep y'all waiting.
If I'm choosing 3 disciples, it's easy. I'm choosing Simon Peter. I'm choosing Andrew because those two together are fishermen. Why would you not choose both of them on an island? And then the third one, I'm choosing Simon Z.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Because he's incredibly loyal. He's a courageous, passionate guy.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing?
Simon Z was my third.
And he'll protect
Ben,
you.
win.
And he'll protect you.
And Ben will last 2.5 weeks.
And he'll also do like like tricks and stuff, backflips
Yeah.
in case you get bored.
Yeah,
Like you can have a whole
jump
circus
off,
act
he'll,
going.
He'll
Entertainments.
pick trees for coconuts. It'll be great.
Yeah.
That coconuts we've established is what Philip is doing. So don't try to get someone else.
Why does
on
nobody
coconuts.
pick the guy who's meant to be like the survivalist 101? I lived in the
That's
freaking
true.
jungle, like the whole.
Philip lived in the
so
wilderness.
far, no one's
Simon
picked
Z lived
Philip.
in a cave. Yeah.
No one's safe.
That's
Everyone's
true.
going
That is
down
true.
this sort of aggressive action attack with all the dinosaurs.
I would pick Philip because Philip has had a lot of time around water. He's been with a baptizer, so comfortable with the water. Also,
know how to
as
get
we've established, he knows how to get food, and he's got great stories.
And jokes.
And then the other two, and jokes, decent jokes. Not
like dad
Nathaniel
jokes,
level
but-
jokes. Yeah. Like if we're looking for
Kinda like
jokes,
dad
we're probably
jokes.
looking for Andrew. What if I just take Philip, Andrew, and Nathaniel? Like people who aren't necessarily the most skilled at getting off an island, but have great jokes. That's really all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
If we're
They're a
stuck,
good time.
I want to laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
about for
that
you
was
guys?
going to be my first pick was Andrew. I was going to say Andrew for entertainment. I want to be entertained. If I'm stuck on an island,
Yeah.
I'm going to need some entertainment. So I'm going to need his shows, and he likes to do the plays. So I need Andrew there for sure.
It's true.
And then
That's true.
and then I was going to go Nathaniel because you're right, because he can build and he's also funny. He's just so So I'm going for sheer entertainment. And Andrew can fish, as Ben pointed out. So I got somebody that can fish.
Don't
so
overlook the
I'm probably just going to throw Simon Peter in there. So I'm going to have Simon Peter, Andrew, and then my only change up from Ben is I'll take Nathaniel for some more fun entertainment and building.
Nice.
I'm going with Simon Peter Shahar, so I feel safe. I'm going with Simon Z because
You feel safe again?
yeah, I feel safe again. It's a lot of work. And
You just want to cuddle.
yeah, I just want
Sam is a big cuddle, and Sam is a big cuddler.
That's true. Now I'll take you some me protect.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'll go with Philip because Philip knows how to survive in the jungle. And
Wow.
There you
That's
go.
what I was-
There you
2
go.
votes for Philip.
Reza,
You
your
at least
first,
stay on
your
the
first
island.
official pick.
Yeah.
Who do you think
Well,
gets voted
right,
off
so-
first? Who gets voted
Yeah.
off first from that island?
Which
And
disciple do you not take on the island?
is it Little James?
Mitch saved you, Reza. He put it out there first.
Is it?
Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
He has a staff. You can hit things. It's like
That's true. That's true. Maybe
Yeah.
he could sing and call like marine life to come and carry you guys to shore. Like his
That's
Exactly.
his
Aquaman.
song could
That's
bring
Aquaman, Mitch.
dolphins. We've never seen Little
That's
James around
Aquaman.
water.
What is that?
He might have that
Mitch,
power.
what is that song? Mitch, what does that song sound like?
That song. Oh, it's and then it just kind of like the water ripples and all, you know,
Mhm.
all the fish come and Little James just walks
Ben,
to
what's
shore.
your, Ben, what's your dolphin song?
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. It's like the Chosen.
and all the dolphins.
Yep.
This is the theme song.
Oh my.
So Reza, also I would like to hear your answer to the question as them as not the disciples, just as
man.
as Noah
Just for Reza
and,
for this one.
and Shahar. Yeah. Yeah, we
Whoa,
won't do this.
that's-
We'll let Reza do this one.
That's a tough one, actually.
It's all right. We won't show them the podcast.
Um,
we won't tell them.
Well,
It's fine.
Yeah, we'll keep it a secret. It'll be our secret. Yeah.
They're not watching anyway. It's
This is
okay.
for our
it's okay.
Patreon.
I mean, let me see. I'm trying to think of practical. So, like, I mean, Shahar still has the gun, so again,
We're all
protection.
picking Shahar.
Shahar and
There you
Brady
go.
transition very quickly to the same sort of situation because look at
Right.
look at those guns kind of situation. And then all has got the technique and also some very very dark jokes. So when things get dark, you can get into the darkness of those
That's true.
strange situations. But also he has the heart, so you can cuddle Sam in case he gets lonely.
Thank
So
you.
just in case, I'm selling that idea for
I want this to be the narrative of the show after
Sam wants to cuddle with Simon Z. There's your headline.
Title of the episode.
Yeah.
New thing to add to the resume of Nepo Baby.
Yeah.
Simon Z. That's what we're gonna add.
That's right.
And then maybe last one would be Jordan actually, because he knows a lot of film knowledge. So we would like try and figure out instead of like watching the films, we'll be sitting there talking because he can go through the whole thing, and so you can just listen to him, like
Good
the radio.
True.
That's a good pick.
George just
Yeah.
tells
Stop
stories
entertainment.
while you're waiting to be
He's like
saved and drinking your coconut. So
Yeah,
He
he's
might
like a
have watched more
bard.
films than any disciple. Jordan Ross might have watched more film. He might have watched more films than any other disciple.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's-
100%.
Noah's up there
he's
too. Noah's up there too for sure.
definitely the most film literate of probably. But how about you, Reza? Are you a film buff? Like I know we'll probably get into later on, like what got you into acting and things like that. But are you a film buff? Are you a film nerd like the rest of us are? Or where are you with that?
Jim buff. No, so like
Hey, film. I like the word
I like films. I like them. I like them. I like weird stuff. I like some very strange things. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like Swiss Army Man, where the guy gets stranded
No freaking way.
in the island. Have you ever?
Reza, literally one of my top 10 favorite movies ever.
It's
I
incredible. And
love
nobody knows
Swiss Army
about
Man.
it. It's so beautiful.
No one knows about it. It's a beautiful movie. It's so good. I showed it to
Looking it up
my
right
wife when we first started dating. I was like, this is kind of a risky movie, but we'll see how she responds.
That's how you fell in love. You were like, let's go to the island and just.
You know what? It's actually funny that we say this because it kind of does pertain to the icebreaker because, it's you're on an island at first. And that's a great pick. I like I think we need to watch movies together, Reza. I like that because it's a weird movie, but it also does have hearts. Like, definitely, if you're a listener to this, like, it's not for everyone. Look it up before you decide to watch it if you choose to watch it, because there's some language I think in it and just some kind of weird jokes. But ultimately, it's a very beautiful, some movie about life. It's great.
Get used to different.
Yeah.
That's right.
Different. Yes, sir.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Speaking of Swiss Army Man, and speaking of A24, I auditioned for a couple of roles for an A24 film today. And Reza, I just wanted you to know, now that you're on the Brosen, I can officially start sending you my self-tapes because the other guys have now received theirs. None of them have watched it. I've got the little receipt to see if they've watched it or not. But just send me your email, and from now on, I'll just start sending you those self-tapes. And feel free to send them to your, your manager, your representation, any friends that are funding films.
Definitely.
Just
Make sure that you send your self-tapes to Reza and maybe not to us anymore, Willie. That would be great. Love that.
Yeah.
You guys no longer want the tapes?
We didn't want them in the first place.
All right, so Reza.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a guest on our podcast, Reza. Hey, everybody, how's it going? It is Ben Stockton, one of your favorite members of the Brosen. Thank you so much for giving us a listen or a watch today, whatever platform you're on. I wanted to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Trevecca Nazarene University. They are rated one of Middle Tennessee's top Christian universities. They have an outstanding film and television degree, and they're the alma mater of our very own Adam Drake. Plus, he's a professor there right now. So, if you go to Trevecca, you can not only get a film degree, but you can maybe have Adam Drake, our host of The Brosen, as your professor. How crazy would that be? All that to say, if you want to check it out and go to a fabulous school in the heart of Nashville, go check them out at trevecca.edu. So, Reza, speaking of audition tapes, how did you get in touch with Guy Ritchie for The Covenant?
Ooh, that's a great question.
That's a good question. I kind of, in the spirit of auditioning, I just kind of auditioned. I didn't really get in touch in any other getting in touch kind of ways. I auditioned, and
for those that don't know, Reza, what does that look like? Your agent handled all that for you. You got to read. She submitted you. You got to read. Let the people know what that looks like on something like The Covenant.
Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of self-tapes, I can actually tell you. So basically, I got to see it. I have an agent, so they sent me the materials, and then I looked at it, and like half of the scene was very like intense and aggressive. So like yeah, I'm here having this little moment that's like very intense and war with myself. I usually read for myself because I'm a little bit of a crazy person. So I'm a sucker for rhythms. So I give myself rhythms so I can have idiosyncratic interruptions. That's my secret weapon.
Nice.
A little bit of chaos you gotta throw into the mix, and basically I was there beating myself up and throwing myself against the wall as I'm getting beaten by this invisible self-tape character.
Yeah.
I was just hitting myself against the wall, and I was with my mom and sister at the time, and just before Christmas, and there were guests in the other guest room, and paintings fell off, and everyone started wondering what happens, and that's not the only time that I start creating a lot of danger in my self tapes to the point that people get concerned. I was actually on the Guy Ritchie set in the hotel once, and this is in Spain, and like I was doing something else where I was like moving the chair because I was like threatening to kill someone, and and they actually like. What happened? I actually was like in the middle of taping, and some like WhatsApp email comes up, and I'm like, one of the cast members is like, "Are you okay? Is it you making those noises?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" And he's like, "Some like security person's going through the whole like area trying to figure out if someone's like hurt and is okay." And then I called them downstairs, and I was like, "Hey, like." It's me. I'm just doing an audition. And they didn't speak very good English. So like, okay, sir, we're going to send someone up right now. And then they thought that someone's actually dying. So now like 10 guards show up by the hotel. And then they look at this like setup, and I also don't have a very good setup because I'm always traveling. So they have like trash can on top of like boxes and all this kind of stuff. And then there's just like me next to this thing.
I know all about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just auditioning. No one's dead. And everyone's like, good luck.
So in the event that it's okay with you, and in the event that it's okay with production, we're actually going to share a link so people can watch it, whether it's Patreon or whatever. We're going to share the link to that audition, and we want that from you. If it's okay with you. And
can we get that audition from you? Would you send it to us?
So. Yeah, I'll have to check, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. Yeah, it's just me getting beaten up, so I'm sure everyone's going to take pleasure in that. Just the same way that I'm going to have so much fun watching your tapes, Willie, so it's going to be great.
We'll do a tape comparison. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
You said it, you guys. No.
I love imagining you in that scenario, Reza. The security guards show up. You're like, oh, no, it's just an audition. And as a matter of fact, I think I killed it. And they're like, you killed what? And just like see me come in and
Killed?
Yeah. What'd you say about kill?
I love it. When that kind of stuff, it tends to happen. Like when I usually have, like when things are breaking, usually I tend to book the auditions. That's my tip for anyone who wants to book their audition. Like break a few eggs to make an omelet. Yeah.
Nice.
Or the room.
So when you say you're reading with yourself, do you mean that do you record like a vocal track that you're then interacting with, right? Like you are taping yourself and then acting with yourself?
Yeah, so one of my secret skills is people have always told me to do voiceover and stuff, and I've deliberately like paused on it for the moment, but like I tend to be able to do a lot of weird accents and also like a lot of like strange voices that go all the way from like, hey, I'm Batman, to like very feminine, high-pitched things where one of the things I kind of pride myself is usually like casting directors can tell when you're reading for yourself, but nobody ever can. Like I've done a bunch of like, it's just really fun because they're like, oh, who was that like woman who was that? And I was like, well, yeah, it was my grandma.
Well, Reza, can we get an example of one of those? I would love to hear an example of one of these voices.
Who's your off-camera? No way.
Can you do an off-camera for us right now?
Introduce us to your scene partner.
No. 71-year-old bystander needs a ride.
Hey, what goes on there? Can I have a ride?
That's your 71-year-old grandmother.
And then the other character, which is me, I always try and go that sort of sexy route. So then my pitch goes like down here, and I'm like, yeah. And then like nobody can tell that they're the same person. So like you always have to find the yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
the
incredible.
secret. That's your audition secret.
Is that so? I know it worked. I know it worked on Guy Ritchie to get you on to The Covenant, which is a great movie.
Such a good movie.
Did you do that same process to get Philip on The Chosen? Was that also you reading with yourself to get that role?
Yeah. Yes, I was. I was actually in Egypt, and I was shooting something else where my hair was like in the 80s and very different. And that tape also exists somewhere, where, you know, I don't look like Philip at all. I have this very like beautiful, you know, kind of quiff thing going on. But somehow,
Incredible.
because, you know, I tend to do my tapes very late at night, like sometimes at like 1 or 2 in the morning, just because I feel like that's when like all the inhibitions are gone and you're sort of leaning into the truth of humanity. So like, yeah, I had to like, I was in between 2 days of shooting and I'm there with my quiff. And I read this and it was very weird because also like I had no idea that it's going to be like Philip, because I had already read for Philip 2 years ago and the whole story that we know that, you know, there's another Philip. So like I had no idea. And the only thing that happened was I just saw the sides and I was like, oh no, like this is Philip again. And I was like, can you please, told my agent, I was like, can you check if this was like an error or something from the past? And then they're like, no, this is what they want to read, but just make it your own. And so the challenge with that one was more like me thinking, I love the show, I know the show, I know Philip, let me try and make it different. And so like I did this whole rendition of Philip that was much more like serene and introspective and like, you know, kind of more like very different, because I was trying to be like, well, I don't know what's going on here, but whatever character this is for, it's got to be like different to what's already there. And so the journey with that was more interesting because like even like when I met Dallas and I was doing like the rereads and stuff, it's so weird because I was like, oh shoot, this became more like Philip, and that means I didn't get it because it was too close to the other character. So that was a challenge with that, and yeah, but I still sit there and read for myself. I was trying to be Matthew and you know, Nathaniel and all these other characters. It's really fun.
Yeah, what scene did they give you to read for Philip? This time
it was Matthew and Nathaniel scene. So like the Matthew scene that I love that scene so much when he's like they're walking and he tells Matthew like, no, with you we're the sleepers, we're the ones that are awake, and talking about the fact that your past is your past. And that's like one of my favorite things. Like there's so much of Philip that could draw from even like that conversation. So that was one of them that I just really loved. And then like living outside a circle and all that kind of stuff. And then the other one was the Nathaniel scene, which I also love, which is the, you know, when he's, you know, in bed after his episode of, you know, doubting his abilities of architectural skills and thinking that, you know, we should go by the tree and, you know, ponder over life. I was yeah, that was the other scene, and it's very interesting.
Come and see,
you know,
that scene,
especially when I knew the scene already. It was really, really strange because you're trying to like make it your own, and it's really funny.
Reza, you did talk a little bit about coming in and kind of the challenge of playing Philip where somebody was already playing him, and I like what you already said about that. Is there any other challenges or even things that made it easier, maybe from coming in and playing a character that was already there, or so would you say? Versus something like The Covenant, was that harder or was it easier to kind of come into a role that was already there, or was it much more difficult actually?
Oh, that's a good question. It was very, very different experiences. I think The Covenant was a very like unknown experience because I didn't know very much about I knew from like news and stuff about the Afghanistan American War, but like the character of Hadi was someone who was like the guide of the town and like knew everything. And so I spent a lot of time like researching the history and geography of Afghanistan and even the dialect, which is different from the Persian dialect that I'm used to. So that was very interesting, and sort of leaning into the the personal experiences of some of the people who were like affected by the war was very it was very hard and very moving. You know, going back to like me being kind of strange and not like being quite immersive and obviously breaking a few eggs. Like we were in the midst of like Spain and obviously in between like killing metaphorical, you know, self-tape characters. I was also, you know, trying to like curtains were closed even though we were in this beautiful space, and I was like watching war movies all the time to just like get into that space of like things suck and like we're in the middle of the war, because I took that very seriously in the sense I always take everything seriously, but like that was a very sort of specific experience of trying to like throw yourself into a world where it's very like it needs to be like honored. And then I mean in that sense it is similar to what you're saying about The Chosen, because I always take like when you have this like new experience, what I love about acting is like it's a whole new world that's different from you, and you sort of like deep dive in and actually let your whole body and your whole like system get affected by it. So in that sense, it was very similar in the sense that I took it so seriously. I went like full on, and I was back there reading the Bible, but like purely from the essence of like, what does it mean from the like from, you know, beginning to end? Like, what does it mean from the perspective of Philip? And then obviously then reading the scripts and then rewatching the show again from the point of view of Philip was very interesting. In terms of what was difficult, I guess one of the things that was difficult was that the transition happens in this period that's very much like iconic for, I think, Philip's journey, because his, you know, father figure and you know, rabbi in John the Baptist, he's obviously, you know, beheaded very early in the show. So what was challenging for me was how to like pitch the Philip's experience as if I not let it affect me that I'm this new character, because and just ride the actual circumstances, because Philip that is telling jokes and is casual and taking punts at Simon is now affected by something quite intimate and personal. And I thought I was sitting there a lot thinking about what that means, because like I think again, like there's different people who digest that differently, and I think the way that Philip does it, because he's always like the sort of extroverted, sociable, kind of putting others first kind of guy. And I also noticed in the script he was going a little quieter. I kind of tried to lean into what that meant, in the sense that like he's internally in a lot of pain, but he's like still trying to be there as the sort of keeper of the family together. So that was the fun thing to sort of play with. And then other than that, just I love the fact that in acting and art you can sort of play around and make very strange things come to become normalized, like watching Yoshi's mannerisms and trying to make it your own, like over and over again, in certain ways that he sits and puts his hands behind his back and weird stuff, and sort of implementing it into the body structure of yourself in a way that it comes naturally, instinctively.
Very cool.
So
Yeah,
there's
that's
a continuation of the character.
That was fascinating to listen to you talk that, man. And when you were speaking, it reminded me of the first time I met you. You came to set on a night shoot, and it was you and I had a wonderful exchange. We got to talk for about 10, 15 minutes, and that was a blessing. And I just can't imagine stepping into an opportunity like this, a show like this, a role like this, in a world we have the Bible, right? This is not some, you know, like the covenant. You're going in and you're trying to put the pieces together. But if there's like a word, or what did you cling to with your character? Was it, you know, old soul, or was it, I don't know, like, is there a word? What's the one thing, if you could boil it all down and strip it all down in your prep and in your work and when you're on set, who do you think this character is to you? Like, what's that look like?
That's a very good question. It sounds like, you know, it's an actor to actor kind of question. Can't wait to watch it.
It's in your inbox.
That's the only reason Willie asks these types of questions on the show, is that so you'll watch his self-tape.
I'll definitely watch it.
Right. Yeah. This guy's a real
You
thinker.
know what, man? I'm getting disrespected right now.
I don't know. So that's a very good question. And I think the way I usually try, if it's possible, is to try and look at like the ending and you draw the ladder backwards. I try and do that with my own life as well. You sort of try and hit yourself at where you see yourself and then try to draw the ladder backwards. And I think from a character point of view, it's really helpful, because even if a character dies, you always try and find the sort of mission of the character from a personal reason as to why they got to that place. So like whether that's like seeking relief or freedom from like the material pain. So that's like an example of someone who dies. But then in this case, you sort of have two chapters of Philip's life. So you have the chosen chapter, and then what happens in the acts and so on and so forth, which is also exciting to, you know, see what's to come. But from the chosen standpoint, you know, I imagine that obviously it ends. I don't spoil anything, but you know, in the sense of the scripture itself, I was kind of going there first, and I was like, where is Philip in this? And one of the most iconic things towards the end of Jesus's journey is the where's the Father line in the Last Supper, and where's the Father is a very interesting question, because you're like, why is this written, and why is it so important? And that was a big avenue for me to try and like go back, and then things started making sense because you're like, okay, like this guy is grown up in like what is it, Bethsaida, in this like fisherman's town, very comfortable, probably to a Jewish family, and like people are like telling him like probably like merchants or something, and very like the comfort life, and his father's probably this Jewish guy who's like beating him into like masculinity and all this kind of stuff, and then he's like, okay, like I don't want this, I want to go into something unknown and different, get used to different, and like and so like I always ask the question, like what got him to go out and seek John the Baptist and choose to live in the wilderness where there's snakes and scorpions and eat locusts and honey, and and put his life on the line. What drove that, and that was a big question. And then you know I think that he's really seeking this idea of like the deeper essence of divine masculinity. That's kind of what I gathered. That then from there also, like what drives him to move from that point of he's become comfortable again, but he keeps on leaning into the discomfort and the unknown. So he goes now, he's like, okay, like I've got my family here, but I'm going to set out to find Jesus. And now he's finding Jesus as this new father figure who perhaps is less of a in material form father figure, but a immaterial father figure, because he's seen the heavens open when the baptism happened and all of this. He's like, wow, this is like the new father journey I have to go on. And then from there, it's like interesting, because then the question that he asks about why the father is like, okay, well now my old rabbi's dead, now you're going, so like where is the father figure in this material world? And it made me ask that question, and then I went on to Acts, and then actually that led to a revelation almost, that he goes on later on to like become almost like a father of the nation, because I was like, what does family mean to this guy? And like a lot of his journey with the Baptist and Jesus has been about being that guy who's like the heart on the sleeve, let go of comforts and go out into unknown lands and like be the bearer, the divine masculine bearer, the bearer of the voice of the divine masculine, in the sense of like, this is what I'm carrying, and starting new families where people might seem different or unknown, and going into unknown lands, and creating bridges. So that's kind of how I understood it, and maybe that's why he's also very into his esoteric but also like personable character and telling jokes, because that's how he like lightens things between people who might perceive him as different. So anyway, that's it.
That's great. That's a solid answer, dude. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
Thanks.
kind of a great, it's so cool. And I think what's so great to hear about that is I think it's kind of easy sometimes to just sort of think of like, oh, well, the actors sort of show up and they get the words that they're going to say and then they say them. Right. Mm-hmm. But it's so kind of rewarding to hear how deep you go to understand the character and make sure you're getting it right. You know what I mean? Like, what did Philip feel like is as important as, what does he say on screen? You know what I mean? And I think it's great that you're drawing the ladder backwards, like you said.
Yeah, but it's also like when it's like real people and you feel like obliged. Like I've got to like honor the journey of this person as a sort of 3-dimensional human being that has existed and has had its struggles along the journey. So.
Right.
So Reza, let's draw the ladder all the way back, because obviously it's so obvious at this point now that we're learning that you deep dive into your characters and you study so deeply. Where did this start for you? Like, how did you get into this? What made you want to become an actor? Go back to the very beginning. Like, what got you into acting?
That's a good question. Since we're going all the way back, I mean, one of the things that happened in my life that was quite unique is very similar to Philip's, is that I never had that sort of comfortable home. I kind of constantly was on the move. So I've been to like 10 schools in like 4 different countries. And I say that kind of casually, but that's like an experience. Like one of the schools I was in, I was there for like a month, and like I didn't really connect with anybody. So like I had a best friend who was a tree, which is like the building blocks of coming and serving as Philip. But yeah, so it started out with like just kind of being this kind of idiosyncratic person who's like different. And like I was, since you're asking, we're going really back, I mean, I was very imaginative. So I'd like in first grade, I was kind of on my own, and I'd play. I was a big fan of Tarzan, so I'd like run around like a gorilla on the floor in the backyard and not care about how that was perceived. all the way to like when I was in fifth grade, I had a crush on Dory in Finding Nemo, and I wanted to become a fish and marry her. So, like the imagination obviously was a big,
Understandable.
Exactly. She's amazing. She's very wise fish. Fish are friends, not food.
Fish are friends, not food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what she would have said to you if you tried to marry her, actually. She said, fish are friends, just friends.
Exactly.
And now you're stuck as a fish, but
Sometimes delicious, but it's
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's I mean, and then in those days, I mean, I guess my mom was a painter, and I was very interested in like arts and stuff, and me and my sister would just like write a bunch of like skits and do really weird like funny stuff together, and that's how it started. And then when I moved from like Iran, because there was not a lot of art there in terms of like our school is very like intense, so I'd moved to Vienna. I went to American Christian school over there, and that's when like I had like my dream, because I was suddenly like, oh, there's such things as like choir and musicals, and
Wow. Yeah.
so I got involved in that. I played like Ryan in High School Musical and weird stuff like that. Then
Heck yeah, dude.
yeah, and then things got serious. So
You went from Iran. Were you in Tehran?
yeah, I was in Tehran.
You went from Tehran to Vienna, Austria.
Yeah.
Like that's
I was
a
like 12.
masterclass in life and society and culture right there. I mean, that's
It
crazy.
is, yeah, exactly. Like Mozart and all that, and the chocolates.
So,
Mozart and the chocolates, dude.
so other than the family skits, there was no real immersion into art until Vienna.
No, I mean, my mom was a big film person. My mom was very like literary and film person. So she was very like immersed. Like she would watch very weird, like Ingmar Bergman, like old like indie stuff films, and like very like
Nice.
arty stuff. Like since she was 10, so obviously like she's like a full on film buff. But yeah, so in that sense, like there was that, and I played piano. I was very into like art in more of a music sense, actually. But you talk about where the depth happened. When I was trying to decide a career, I went in the direction of psychology, just because I wanted to set up a therapy center for young people, and I thought that would make a big change in like the next generation of people. So like for a long time, I studied that, and then I went to med school thinking I'm going to become a psychiatrist and set up this psychiatry center, psychotherapy center. And then speaking of like when you are too planned in life, sometimes you have to venture off into the unknown, as the spirit of Philip and even the Chosen shows you that you can't really plan and organize life. So it was very weird, because like all the signs were showing that no matter how much I was hitting at the medicine thing, it wasn't right for me. So I took a break, and then very miraculously, I just decided, like almost like an intuition, to apply for drama school. And then maybe my deep immersive experience of psychology and like liking to work on characters from the root up participated in things unfolding and unraveling pretty quickly after that. And I was very lucky, because I never like stopped working after that sort of thing. And
Drama school where? Drama school where?
I went to drama school in the UK. It's a place called Mount View in like Peckham, which is really lovely. They do really good fish, even though they're friends. But
Call back.
yeah,
That's great. Dude, that's so legit. So studying psychology, psychiatry, switched to drama, and then continued to work from that point on through to now, through The Chosen. Yeah.
What was
That's awesome,
your
man.
first job? What was like your first job where you were like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm acting. Like, what was the first gig?
that was I did a little bit of that before I went to drama school, actually, because I was crazy. I was always trying to do like other things while I was also like, I was a crazy person. I think I still am, probably. Hopefully not. But
Get used to different.
I mean, after drama school, it was really miraculous. It's like, people come out and like wait for a long time. And for me, it was like, as I'm coming out, I didn't even have an agent. And like, miraculously, they're making this like series about Iran called Tehran. And they needed like young Iranian actors. And I was like, how does this, it doesn't make sense how much this all like comes together, other than like putting it down to miracles. It really didn't. I really always put it down to, something divine. And basically it's they were shooting that, and I went for like I got one of the supporting characters from that, and the experience was crazy, because I also like I was away from Iran since I was 10 or 11, and like my family's very like insular. My mom's kind of like a Frida Kahlo painter. She's like sits in a room and paints for 10 hours. So like there's not a lot of like Iranian immersion in my life. So when I went back and in Greece when we were filming, there was a lot of like Iranian refugees who were there, and like the whole show was about like trying to like glorify the beautiful culture of Iran, but also like it had a very beautiful message as well, because it's like the story of like an Israeli spy who goes to Iran, and like love happens without being.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. That's awesome.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Well, how about, so along the way, you've done some really cool stuff, though, because obviously we've talked about, of course, you started out with a really kind of a high of being on this TV show, and then now you're on a TV show. But in between them, you've done kind of a mixture, it seems like, of films, TV shows. Obviously, we've talked about The Covenant that you were in. You were also, I saw you in the movie The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. So you're just kind of checking off the list of Guy Ritchie affiliates that you've worked with. I was watching it last year in theaters, and I was like, is that Reza? And it was cool to see you in there. But what have been some other films experiences that you've had? Or maybe, I don't know if you have a favorite one outside of the ones we've talked about, or anyone you want to share of.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, one of the ones that is like just currently coming out, and it just had its like US premiere in like Palm Springs. That's where I was before this. And was also in Rome like a couple months ago. It's called Reading Lolita in Tehran. It's a very long thing, and it's a long title, but it's actually based on a book that's based on a true story written by this Iranian American professor of literature during the 1980s, who decides to go back to Iran when the revolution happened, and people had this impression that things are going to get better, and so she went back, and then very soon after that, like all the universities start shutting down because these like societies of like, it became a dictatorship very quickly, and they're trying to do this like cancel culture and this cultural revolution so that they can redefine what history and what art is. So the film is beautiful because it's an exploration of what happened to these students who are there in the time, like my mother, who actually had the similar journey, and she told me about it, because that's how she became a painter, because she had to go into underground painting classes because there was no university that allowed art anymore, because art was sinful in a sense. So basically, this is the same. It's like a story where there's discussions and debates in class where from different angles and different points of view, whether like, I don't know, Great Gatsby or Pride and Prejudice is like has negative messages from a sort of societal point of view, or is it something to offer that is of value in terms of like connection? And I think it's the reason I love it is kind of like The Chosen. The idea is like being able to build bridges where there's none, is sort of the contemplation at an existential level. It's like getting used to the fact that when there's a different point of view, I'm always a believer that art is like a bridge, and like literature, art is an opportunity to set up and imagine a possibility that's transcendent to just like classic structures of identity. So that's what I love about that film, and hopefully, I don't know where it's going next, but hopefully you'll be able to catch it somewhere.
Man, bro,
Dude, I'd love to see it.
That's awesome.
I have a similar story to Mitch about seeing Reza in just a random project that we're watching. I was on a plane watching the first episode of The Diplomat with Kerry Russell on Netflix, and all of a sudden, this British guy walks in and starts giving this like huge monologue. I was like, I think that's Reza. That's Reza. I get on set because I was flying to Texas to get to the set. I walked to the Reza. I was like, "Are you in The freaking Diplomat?" He's like, "Oh yeah." Cool, man.
Reza
awesome.
books, man. He books. He gets
I want to
the
see.
work.
I want to hear the British accent because I haven't seen it. What's Can you just do that on point there, Reza?
I can, yeah. I had an accent that was sort of in the middle before, but then when I went to drama school, they would ask me like what to do. Like they would say, you have to decide between the English accent and the American accent, because otherwise. So sometimes when I go to English auditions, I actually speak in this accent because it actually makes them feel more familiar. Familiarity is everything, because not everybody is used to the difference. So
I'm not even.
You're a chameleon.
Chameleon, dude.
The first time you and I legitimately hung out outside of work when we were going to see a movie one time,
yeah,
I thought you were British.
yeah, me too.
I thought you were a British man. Picked you up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Reza's not actually British." Very good accent.
That's
I also feel like
incredible.
we're poking Reza with a stick today and being like, "Now do this
Yeah,
noise."
do this.
Yeah.
I actually want to go back to something that you were saying earlier, which I thought was really interesting, that you, when you are playing Philip, that you have intentionally tried to bring in some of the groundwork that was sort of established by Yoshi in seasons 2 and 3 in terms of mannerisms and approaches. You know, you were kind of talking earlier about how you sort of studied his body movement and choices like that and tried to integrate some of that into your character for seasons 4 and 5 and onward. Which is really interesting because it's almost like you're not just doing a character, you're also kind of doing like when actors do biopics, you know, like when Timothée Chalamet plays Bob Dylan and he's like, oh, Bob Dylan walks like this or whatever. You're kind of doing a little bit of that, but with a character that you're also playing right after the fact. I don't know. That's just like a really interesting approach to take with it. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize that you were doing that, but I guess I'll have to watch back and kind of see some of those choices on screen. You did a great job making it, you know, invisible, but I guess it kind of helps you too. Maybe there's something, even if we don't pick up on it, it's got to be helpful to you even mentally thinking I'm doing this because this is Philip.
Yeah.
Right.
The hair didn't come as long as I wanted it to.
That's fair.
I'm still trying to grow
but
it.
But you have the scarf. You've got the scarf still.
Exactly. Yeah. Philip's balding, so he's trying to cover his bald spots.
You've kind of got the Bob Dylan going now, so you're kind of challenging.
It's true.
Well, if there's a Bob Dylan sequel, I'm ready for it. So, no, but yeah,
you can do his later years. Yeah,
I agree. I agree. It's really fun. I love anything that's like more based on true stories. So like any chance to like embody that. And again, like I said, like that's where the play happens because like you know you got to go to drama school and you learn the sort of craft side of things. And I think sometimes when your character's brand new, you can kind of find the character more close to yourself. But when I like characters that are different, and you have to like get used to it. So, you know.
Dude, you're good at plugging the show.
Yeah,
You've got
really
a real gift. Yeah.
The title of this episode is now Get Used to Different with Reza.
Yeah.
Reza, when you're looking for inspiration and you go outside.
Willie. Always. Just Willie.
That's what I was going to ask.
That's it.
I was going to say, do you just go outside and look up?
Just trying to bring in more. When there's a movie that you're in and you want your friends to see it, do you invite them to come and see? Is that the move for you?
And they sometimes ask me, like, when is it coming out? And I'm like, soon.
Before you watch a movie, are you one way, and then after you finish it, you're completely different?
Oh
yeah,
man!
And then I try and do the maths, and then I try and find.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Impossible math.
You know what's crazy? Obviously, you've done a variety of projects. You've done films, you've done TV that have been pretty high profile, right? Working with big directors, working in different countries, shooting these great projects. But it's got to be still kind of unique doing The Chosen and going to things like Chosen Con. That's got to still be kind of a different. Have you done other conventions before The Chosen, or is this kind of a first convention experience for you?
No, that's definitely a new thing because like I think there's like premieres and stuff like that, and but this is different because like a con, the way I see it is like it's purely for the support of the fans, or like in this case it's a family, and when people say it's a family, I really feel like it's a family. So like. Yeah, so I spend every moment of that trying to just go around and just like meet as many people as I possibly can. And sometimes people get worried about my, madness and getting lost in the middle of places, and everybody's looking for me. And but it's really special. It's a really special chance to like get up close and personal with people who this story has touched. I tend to write personal messages when they ask for autographs, which is such a humbling and experience. But
that's awesome.
I usually actually write one of these quotes in there. Usually for me is look up, because actually look up is quite an important thing for me generally, because like I think life can get really dark if you let it. And so always remind, that's one of my favorite quotes actually, is on a serious.
That's awesome.
Because like, it's Con is amazing. Con is lovely. Next time I'm going to be singing if I can.
Like with like up there with like Austin and those guys, like on stage.
Yeah, I'm going to do like a low pitched ooh all the way through.
Just one note, just sustained. Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe play the harp in the background as well. I like harps. I've played them in my dreams, so it's.
Oh yeah,
same thing. Yeah, same thing in real life,
clouds,
right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Reza, you've been with us a shorter time, but it's been long enough to be to have something to answer this question of what has been one of your absolute favorite moments. Usually it's on set, like if there was something on set where you just laughed uncontrollably, or maybe it's even ChosenCon and just the way ChosenCon exists. But what's been one of your absolute favorite moments since you've been attached to the Chosen?
There was a moment when we're doing a very hot walk and talk, and it's the worst day of my life in the first season, because I'm trying to be Philip, and I'm like, I'm used to this. Used to different, and I'm also like I deliberately sometimes try to like. So I was doing everything like harder than like what it should be. Like people take breaks and stuff. I was like deliberately like doing everything myself and trying to like stay in the sun because I was like, this is my home, and that was a very bad move. So I was that was the only time in my life where I actually felt like I was fainting. And then other than that, like the whole of the Last Supper was something that I don't think I'll ever forget in my whole life because that's just like. It was magic. The whole thing it's surreal for me, at least. I don't know. The lamb was very delicious, and no.
And we spent
Great appetizers.
We spent I think 6 days in there. We spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah. There's these like lentil soups that start stinking very much, and again, it's
right.
cute. But other than that, it's very surreal.
It is crazy to think that we shot The Last Supper for 6 days, because if you think about the timeline of that means that's 6 12-hour days, right? Mm-hmm. That's, 72 hours of doing The Last Supper. That's
Mitch.
A lot.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's
sorry, Ben. What was that? You're gonna question my math? Was that was?
I was gonna say it's 84 technically if we're talking 7. Did you say 6 or 7?
6.
You said 6. 72. Sorry.
6. Yeah.
Ben
has now gone offline.
Ben just turned his camera off. He's left.
Ben has left the chat.
Ben has left the podcast for the
So in your career, is this the only thing that you would put in the biblical kind of realm? And the most spiritual project, something that was like biblical, or have you done?
I would say so. I mean, I did this really strange film where I actually ironically played the devil in like a short film, which was about like a person trying to make up his mind or like trying to figure out if he's going to go to heaven or hell. That was a fun experience because I like playing complicated and dark and strange characters. So like the idea of like taking a whole leap and instead of being the very like happy like very a calm at peace person who's just dealing with a lot of pain of people dying all around him, being in the place of you can be this playful crazy devil was a fascinating experience. And
nice.
that happened over one night, and it was very surreal and strange. And
if you go to PureFlix, you can watch Guardians, where I play a demonic character as well. But anyways, so moving on.
I watched the tape.
Link right here for Guardians on PureFlix. Right
Hey, Reza, listen. If you're ever at a Lowe's getting your oil changed, I'm going to look directly in the camera right now, Reza. If you're ever just at Lowe's, I said Lowe's. If you're ever at like the auto mechanic store getting your oil changed, look toward the TV. If divorce court is on, you may see me. Okay, I'm just saying, you may see me on that divorce court.
You nailed it, Ben. You nailed it, dude.
That
was a lot. I apologize.
Ben was an extra on the hit TV series Divorce Court, and it's one of the most incredible.
We will send you. It's on our Instagram. We'll send you that DM.
Ben Stockton has gotten more residuals from Divorce Court than you've gotten in your entire career. That show never stops running.
Yeah. Divorce is expensive.
Yeah. You say that again, Reza. Oh, yeah.
So, Reza, I have a question for you, and you're very aware of this, so I'm not bringing up anything that people don't know about. It's all over our social medias. You have a habit on set that we frequently, if we ever need to find you, we can always like discover you sleeping somewhere, either in your chair or on a bench somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of looking up, we look down. Yeah.
Right. We look down.
That's why. So from my point of view, I look up. So that's why I always say it.
That's a great point. You got us there.
It's a good point.
For our audience at home and for the ADs that are supposed to be taking care of you every single day, can you please explain to us the reasoning behind your constant sleeping and napping and dozing?
He does self-tapes at 2 a.m.
on set.
Here are a couple of photos real quick of just Reza sleeping on set. That's
Well
right.
done.
Oh, he's out cold.
So
Yeah,
Brandon,
Reza, we're doing a podcast. Reza.
Samantha,
Reza,
please wake up.
I need you.
First
First
team.
team.
Action.
First team, we're ready for you.
What's going on?
Just
So
yell it.
our audience watching at home, I'm not even kidding, where that's what it looks like every single day.
Oh, it's so great.
Reza, if you
Where's
just-
the father? No.
Is that you? Is you sleeping on set? You being Philip, or is this is part of your process? This is
That's a good
this is
question.
part of just Reza's life.
We should keep that a mystery.
Ah.
No.
That's a great question.
Yeah, no, there are multiple reasons, but yeah, well, maybe by the end of the story. I mean, I don't know. Some of it is, I can say. I mean, it's like a thing. I mean, partially it's like exhausting, so it's good to sleep, because I tend to like try and get into a dream state and like access the unconscious, kind of like that thing like magic realism.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
That
We
David
get what
Lynch
you're saying.
stuff.
No, we know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I just woke up. Okay, no, but like one of the things was the other thing was again going back to like trying to find like common ground. I always like to let the character kind of hit you and like find where there's differences. And like I've never camped other than when I was 15 in one of the schools, and against my will I went to a place and I camped, and I fell in love there, but it only lasted for like a week. But basically,
Wait a minute.
other than that very sad love story of my childhood, teen years, basically, I don't really know. Like, I'm not very good at the whole wilderness thing. So one of the things is just trying to like make the wilderness your home. So like, obviously, like it's important to like feel comfortable. And I've found myself like sleeping and then waking to someone saying, "Oh, there was a scorpion just walking past," and I'm like, haha,
It's
bravery.
working.
Yeah.
It's working. You're becoming one with the wilderness.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then,
Becoming
like,
Philip. Philip would sleep on set. Philip would be like, I'm on the ground.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I'm unconscious.
And it has been impressive all the different places you've fallen asleep. Like it has been quite impressive the places you can fall asleep just anywhere.
Yeah. And the other
impressive.
thing is also like these guys, these disciples, they've been like traveling in crazy hours, and I deliberately try and like have sleep deprivation.
Oh, for real? Like you come in with it?
A little
Like-
bit, no, because I wouldn't mind it, like because it's like if you're like doing those walk and talks, like we're walk and talk, and I feel like I'm dying, and then imagine what they're going through. So like in some sense, it's actually really fun to have a sense of like tiredness that's actually genuine and sort of crazy because again, get used to different, and yeah, and then also like obviously like in the actual story he falls asleep in random idiosyncratic situations.
It's true. In the
so-
garden. Yeah.
There you go.
Reza, so in you mentioned some of your story and then going to school. Along the way, have you picked up an acting mentor or someone that you can lean on and call on, an acting coach, someone that has been there for the longest time, throughout your
Just
career?
really would like to audition for that role as well if he could.
I
if he
I
you
do
could.
want
that
one?
I do that
Do you
for a
want
living,
one?
Reza. I've got 5 children, and times are tight.
Yeah.
And it's slow, and things are not. My tapes are not. They're not tapes. They're not landing. So if you need a coach, Reza, I'm here for you.
Reza, listen. Before you sign up with Willie, there's a cast member named Kirk Waller who's a pretty good acting class. If you're interested,
Brother,
just saying.
Ben.
Don't listen to Willie. We're cutting Willie off. Kirk Waller,
Kirk Waller's got you.
acting class. Kirk Waller, classes with a K, just like Kirk.
Ben.
Remember that.
Ben, brother,
Willie Mellina.
we prayed today.
5 kids. Somebody get this guy.
Ben, when did you
Preteen.
start getting kickback from Kirk's class? When did that happen?
What the heck was that?
When did you sign a deal with Kirk?
If you sign up through actorclass.com/bstockton, you'll get 10% off your first class.
Yeah, because Ben's getting a free class.
That's not true.
Our audience,
That's not
our
true.
Brosen audience
Listen.
will find out that Ben got a free class. So it sounds like he got more than a free class. It sounds like he's getting a free curriculum, full 12-month schedule.
Hey, Kirk, if there's 2 things that Kirk B. Waller taught me in this life, it's how to make money and how to land roles. Okay, that's all I'm saying here. He's like the Dave Ramsey of Hollywood actors. It's great. I'm just saying.
Reza,
If you need anybody, Kirk Waller.
In your story, in your life as an actor, you said it even started even before going to school. But then since then, has there been someone that has stayed the course with you or been with you a long time that you lean on, you call for wisdom, for guidance?
Yeah. And it's not always necessarily an acting coach. Like I think, I have an amazing acting coach by the name of Chris. I don't know if he wants to be known fully, so I'll just keep it at that.
That's fair. That's fair. Sure.
I'll add him to the CC so he gets your tapes anyway, Willie. But
that's really what I'm after. So.
He's a very generous man. So and I learned a lot of the last 2 years. I learned a lot through that, and he's very generous. He also almost sometimes even when I'm on the shows and I'll bounce ideas off him, and he'll give ideas, and he's very very, very solid guy. So thanks, Chris. And then other than that, I would say again, maybe because I'm a big advocate for therapy. I think I've had a lot of therapists because, get used to different, and, I have a lot of problems. So
therapy's great, man.
So I think I would give shout outs to them because I think when you do deep therapy and actually go through your inner difficulties and darker parts and stories and pains, it's for me it was very helpful both in terms of my life but also in terms of art, because you're braver to go into places that are uncomfortable otherwise, the spaces that you were trying to create resistance before because of traumas or so on and so forth. So I always say the path to acting is an inward path, and learning to be an advocate for all the repertoire of what humanity, being a human, is about, can then give you an opportunity to also do that in your art, which is I think why we all. I mean, I don't know. Everyone watches art for different reasons, but at least the art that moves me is the art that sort of connects people to something that is I know what that's about, and I've been there, and it's probably a lonely space that nobody ever talks about, but I know what that's about.
Someone that's not even in the craft, but someone that you trust, that knows your whole being and your story, that you can just kind of find your foundation with.
Yeah, that would be one of them. It's one of my therapists. One of them, a therapist, actually passed away from COVID. If I'm honest with you, and I'm going to be real with you because we're all bros. But
brutal.
I actually use her a lot in the story of Philip because he experienced death, and I experienced death, and of someone who was very much a strong mentor. So that's something I don't really talk about. But yeah, she was. Since you asked, she was a very special human being. I actually she was Italian. I went to Italy to Bologna all the way to her grave, just have a little. Proper goodbye, because
thanks.
That's beautiful.
Thanks for sharing.
No, not at all. I just want to say you're all amazing. You're amazing for everything that you all do. I always watch, and people. Sometimes people don't know everything that happens behind the scenes, but all of you all are such legends when I watch.
Legends. I like that.
I get to sleep and do the stupid stuff, and you're out there doing real stuff.
Reza, have you ever worked on the production side behind the camera of any film? You said you've done some shorts. Have you ever done anything behind the camera, not acting, on a project?
No. That's a simple answer. The reason is because I think I did enough of ordering my life since I was in psychology and medicine that as soon as I got this chance to be a crazy artist, I was a loose cannon, and I never looked back, and a lot of things have fallen apart as a result. But I'm slowly, this year's New Year's resolution, Year New Me, is to try and reorder everything. So all the responsible things I said no to for 4 or 5 years.
If there was a role, if there was an opportunity for you to work on a production, where do you think that you would like to just try your hand at first? What's the first thing you try?
Acting.
Cinematography is very beautiful because I think one of my favorite Iranian directors actually once told me that cinema is a visual medium, and a lot of people forget that, especially in the modern day where a lot of things go on mainstream Netflix and all this kind of stuff. A lot of stuff is just about back and forth storytelling, but and people just want to listen. He was people want to just follow the story while they're on their phones and in the kitchen. I loved what he said because it's it is actually a visual medium, and he actually has a film where the leading character doesn't say a single word, and I always love that challenge of trying to speak through the nonverbals. So as a cinematographer, I also love the possibility of being able to capture what's unsaid, where you put the focus and so on with the collaboration with the director. And also just the artistry of being able to create some of the stuff that Akis and the team create is like, I'm always in awe. So that would be maybe the direction I would go. And I like to make some muscles because we're in the Chosen Brosen scene, and the way that the way that these guys are carrying the thing, we're doing walks and talks, and they're lifting 1,000 pounds of camera every single moment. So
when you see the arms on our camera operators, it's intimidating.
Yeah. That's why I fall asleep, because otherwise I'll get so distracted that
That's what Shahar does when he's off screen. He goes and helps camera. That's why he's got those arms.
Yes,
okay, camera speeding. Shahar cam. It'd make no sense, and it would be absolutely ridiculous. But I think it'd be so funny one day on set just to flip everyone, like just. All the crew is just the disciples and the cast members, and all the cast is all the crew members, and all the crew is the cast.
Yeah,
I think
who would you all be in cast? That's a good question.
I mean, I'd have to be Quintus.
That's why you need to be. That's why you actually need to be like someone with the big.
I'd obviously be
built
Shahar.
in.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Okay.
Reza, man, thank you so much, man. It's such a different rhythm, and it's so interesting to get to spend this time with you. This has been a big blessing for me.
Yeah.
So
get used to it.
Oh my gosh! If you say that one more time, I'm going to change my mind.
Dude, that's a good read.
No,
that was a good. You see what he's capable of, Reza? You see what he's capable of?
Yeah.
Did you see that, Reza? That was a good read.
Imagine the tape.
I'm sending you my A24 tapes from today. Just
of course, yeah.
So,
do you have an A24 audition? I didn't know that you didn't. I know you had that. Do you have the self tape for it?
Was it?
Sam, why don't you just call Palace?
Put it up on the screen
and let him
right
call
now.
his people and get me in there. So 20 years from now, we're done with The Chosen, done with The Way. You meet someone, you're talking on a subway, and they say, "What's one of the most special projects?" And you say, "The Chosen," and they say, "What's that?" And it can either be you just explaining to them, but really, like, why should they watch it? Why should they check it out? In 30 seconds or less, or 15 seconds or less, like you love that you said actors don't need to talk, but what would you say to that person that's never heard of it, never seen it 20 years from now?
I'd be like, yo, dude, like, Netflix, Amazon, all this stuff. It's all about like popcorn entertainment and all this kind of stupid stuff. And everything's very like empty stories. But like this story is like pretty iconic. It's reaching for transcendent. It is, based on true story. It's a very human story, and it can connect at a very deep level. If you're finding any struggles, like I'll be like, yo, what's up? Like, do you have any issues with your like family or friends or like, whoever it is, like in your life or business? If you have any questions about it, like in a very sort of interesting way, we find the answer through it in one of these scenes. And if you're too tired to listen to me talk anymore, there's probably like a 5-second version on TikTok that I can show you, and it will still transform your life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Nice
beautiful.
Well, Reza, we want to say thank you for having chosen the Brosen today, man.
Thank you for having chosen the Brosen.
Thank you.
Thank you for brosing the chosen.
For having chosen the Brosen.
We're so glad that you joined us today, and I'm really glad that when you came in, you weren't a dozen. So we want for having Chosen the Brosen.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of The Brosen. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And we hope to make new episodes for you very soon.